without repeating. But we will practice this more as we move on. Alright, how do we use the LCD to add or subtract fractions? Now, we started with this 3 over 8 plus 5 over 12. Now, we have identified our common denominator as 24. Is that right? Okay. Now you've got to ask, I want to make this denominator 24 and this denominator 24. And now you know 8 times 3 is 24. So what do? Multiply the numerator and denominator of the first fraction by 3 so that the denominator will become 24. And what do you multiply the second fraction by? By 2 so that the numerator and denominator will become 24. Look at this. 3 over 8 is the same as 3 over 8. 3 times 3 divided by 8 times 3. We multiply the numerator and denominator by 3. Similarly, the second fraction, we multiply the numerator and denominator by 2. What did we achieve? We achieved one thing. We made the denominators of both fractions the same. So that became 9 over 24 plus 10 over 24. We can now say 24 is the common denominator, and what we need to do is add the numerators. So what will be our result? It will be 9 plus 10 on the numerator and 24 on the denominator. That will be 19 over 24. Okay? Let's practice this with another example. There is a quicker way to add this once you have identified the LCD. You see, rather than going and multiplying every fraction by a number on the numerator and denominator, I have developed a simpler method for you. Now, try and see whether you can follow this and try and practice this. Alright? We identified 24 as the LCD, and this is the common denominator. For example, 3 over 8 plus 5 over 12. What is the LCD we identified? 24. So we write that 24 like this. Write the LCD with a big line on top. And what we need to do is construct the numerator. And you see how I'm going to construct my numerator? You've got to say 24 divided by 8. You see, that's how we obtained that number 3, if you remember. Now, the first denominator is 8 and the LCD is 24. Divide 24 by 8. What do you get? 3. And that 3 you multiply with the 3 on the numerator. There you are. So 24 divided by 8 equal to 3. And multiply this 3 with the numerator 3 and write that result there. 3 times 3. One more time. Watch this. 24 divided by 8 is 3. And multiply that 3 with this 3. And write there. 3 times 3. Follow that up with the plus sign. There you are. Alright, we repeat the same process for the second fraction. What is the process? 24 divided by 12 is 2. And what do you do with that 2? Multiply that 2 with this 5. Alright, let's come here and do it. Now, the second denominator is 12. Divide 24 by 12, you get 2. And that 2 is multiplied with the numerator 5 and write it there. Is that right? So that 2, what is that 2? That 2 is 24 divided by 12. That is 2. So 24 divided by 12 is 2. Multiply by that 2 and 5. So what is our numerator now? Add our numerator. Numerator is now 3 times 3, 9. Plus 2 times 5, 10. over our common denominator, and that will be 19 divided by 24. You see, this is a very quick method. I'm going to show this one more time, and watch this. 3 over 8 plus 5 over 12. First find the LCD of 8 and 12, and you know that is 24. Write that as your denominator, and then put this big line. We need to now construct our numerator. See how the numerator is constructed? Watch the pointer I'm using. 24 divided by 8 is 3. And that 3 is multiplied by this numerator 3. And write it there. 3 times 3. Follow that up with the sign here. Plus. 24 divided by 12 is 2. And that 2 is multiplied by 5. And that gives you your numerator. Isn't that simple? I think so. Well, let's go and do another one. 2 over 9 plus 4 over 15. Okay, can you find the LCD of 9 and 15? What's the method I gave you? First, factor each denominators. Alright? 9 can be factored as 3 times 3. How do you factor 15? Very simple. 15 is 3 times 5. Okay, we have now factored both denominators. How do we pick our LCD? The method is, first pick all the factors of the first number. So we pick 3 times 3. So pick all the factors of the first number, then come to the second number and pick only the factors that are not picked already. So you come to this 3. Do we need that 3? Well, no, we don't. We have picked a 3 already. But do we need that 5? Yes. So we need to take that 5. So our LCD now is 3 times 3 multiplied by 5. That is 45. So once you have your LCD, bring it over there and write it. 45 is my denominator. And now put that big line which is going to separate your numerator and denominator. We now need to get our numerator. What's the method? Do you remember? Alright, this is the method to constructing the numerator. 45 divided by the first denominator 9. What is 45 divided by 9? 45 divided by 9 is 5. You should know that. And what do you do with that 5? Multiply that numerator. So that will be 5 times 2. 45 divided by 9 is 5. Multiply that 5 with this 2. 5 times 2. There you are. So there you got 5 times 2. Follow that up with the plus sign. There you are. Next, 45 divided by 15. How many 15s will go in 45? Well, if you know your tables, 15 times 1 is 15, 15 times 2 is 30, 15 times 3 is 45. 45 divided by 15 is 3. What do you do with that 3? Multiply there with 4. So that will be 3 times 4. And there we have the numerator. So once again, 45 divided by 9 is 5. And 5 times 2 is our first number on the numerator, followed by plus. 45 divided by 15 is 3. And that 3 is multiplied by 4. Alright, that would be 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 times 4 is 12. That's my numerator. Denominator is 45. And that will be 22 divided by 45. And that's the answer. Don't you think it is a simpler way to add fractions? Well, you need to practice this several times. Let's do another one. Now this time we have 3 fractions. Watch this. 3 over 8 plus 5 over 12 minus 7 over 18. Okay, let's first find the LCD of 8, 12 and 18. Alright? Okay, I have factored, I have taken 8 and factored is there. 8 is equal to 2 times 2 times 2. Can you factor 12? 12 is 2 times 2 times 3. Is that right? 2 times 2 is 4 times 3 is 12. Can you factor 18? We did that some time ago. 18 is, alright, 2 times 3 times 3. Alright, after factoring all the numbers, how do we pick our LCD? What's the method? Now listen one more time. To pick our LCD, start picking all the factors of the first number. So our LCD is 2 times 2 times 2. We pick all the factors of the first number. Come to the second number and say, we don't need this 2 because the 2 has been picked. We don't need this 2 because the second 2 has been picked. But we need this 3. So now we have picked 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Go to the second number, or the third number. Do we need that 2? No. Do we need that 3? No, we have picked a 3 there. But do we need that second 3? Yes, because we have picked only one 3. So if there is a second 3, we need to pick that. So what's our LCD now? It is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. There you are. 72. That means 72 can be divided by 8, 12 and 18. Okay, now we've got the LCD as 72. What's the method? Come here and put down that LCD. That is 72. Okay, can you help me construct the numerator? How are we going to construct the numerator? Go like this. 72 divided by 8. Start with the first denominator. What is 72 divided by 8? Anybody knows? 8 goes in 72 9 times. So 72 divided by 8 is 9. What do we do with that 9? Multiply that numerator. So that will be 72 divided by 8 is 9. And multiply that 9 with this 3. 9 times 3 is our first number on the denominator. Follow that up with the plus sign. Alright, let's go to the next slide. Next, 72 divided by 12. What is 72 divided by 12? 12 times 2 is 24, 12 times 3 is 36, 12 times 4 is 48, 12 times 5 is 60, 12 times 6 is 72. 72 divided by 12 is 6. Multiply that 6 with the 5. See? 72 divided by 12 is 6. And multiply that 6 with the 5 and write it there. Alright, next is a minus sign. So the sign coming there will be a minus sign. What is 72 divided by 18? What is 72 divided by 18? Isn't it 4? 18 times 4 is 72. So 72 divided by 18 is 4. What do we do with that 4? Multiply with that 7. So you have that negative there. And what comes after the negative is 72 divided by 18 is 4. And 4 multiplied by 7. I'm going to repeat this one more time. How do we construct the numerator? Watch this again. 72 divided by 8 is 9. 9 times 3 is our first number. Follow that up with the plus sign. Plus.